Okay, so I want to break down a perfect plank technique for you. Many people, when they start a plank, they just kind of get into a plank position and hold as long as you possibly can. But to do a plank properly, there's a lot of little nuances about it that you kind of want to make sure everything is right. Like, I doubt you've ever thought about your heels during a plank, or your quads during a plank, or even your shoulders during a plank. So all these little parts need to be in perfect position, and you can take a 10-second plank and make it incredibly difficult just by working really closely on all these little moving parts, okay? Or they should be non-moving. So really rigid, lock it in hard. So we're gonna break down just the little areas of a plank. The first thing I wanna show you is what your shoulders should be doing. So during a plank, many people, when they're in the plank position, they'll just kind of let their shoulders just kind of hang, or they'll round their shoulders out, especially if they feel weak and have a hard time holding a plank. They'll kind of push their arms away from them into the floor and have the shoulders really rounded. The important thing to do when you're doing a plank is to do something called packing your shoulders. So instead of rounding your shoulders or letting them just sag together like a valley between your shoulder blades, I want you to pack them. So you're gonna just lock your shoulders into your shoulder blade. And this might be a completely new concept for you, that you can actually move your shoulders around, okay? So you're gonna pack them. So from the back, it looks like you're kind of locking them into the joint. And that's a position, that's a very strong position to be in for your shoulders. That's where you're gonna have the most support and the most stability when you're doing a plank, okay? So that's the first thing that you need to make sure of. Above the shoulders, you wanna make sure when you're holding your plank, you're not letting your head sag. So we're in your good plank position, and we're packing the shoulders, so we're pulling the shoulders down and back, and then make sure your head is not hanging down here. You shouldn't be looking at your feet or looking at your hips while you're holding a plank. Lift your head up and have your gaze pointing right down, kind of in that triangle that's created between your arms, okay? So that keeps it so that your spine is in a neutral position with the rest of your body, okay? So that's kind of the upper half. Moving down the body, next we want to work on what's going on down here. We need to find a neutral spine, especially in the low back. So when you're holding a plank position, we want to make sure that you're not sagging, okay? So don't let your back be arched and your hips pointing down towards the floor, okay? But we also don't want to be rounded up. So the best way to go about finding a neutral position is to be on your hands and knees at first, and this is just going to teach you what a neutral spine means. So you're on your hands and knees, and we're going to arch the back way down. So let your back really, really sway. Then we're going to go the complete opposite direction. We're going to round the back way under, so kind of tuck your tail under. Then we're going to find the middle of those two moves. Okay, so it should look like you have a slight curve in your low back, a neutral kind of normal, natural looking curve in your low back. You're not arched too much, you're not rounded under, just a slight curve in that low back. And what I want you to do is memorize that position and go ahead and brace with your abs. Pull your abs in to hold that, okay? So nothing should have shifted when you pull your abs in tight. Nothing should shift. You're just holding that position with ab contraction, okay? So that's the position you should be in when you're in your plank. So a nice neutral spine, don't be arched, don't be tucked too tight, find neutral and then brace. So pull your abs in, lock on top of that with your abs, and then the trickiest part here is breathing when all of those things are going on, okay? So it might take a lot of practice. So you're working on a neutral spine, shoulders are packed, head is where it needs to be. Our glutes are tight, and one thing you can do is push your heels back away from you to make sure those glutes are tight, and then we're gonna breathe. So hopefully you've also watched the positional breathing video. That's gonna come in really handy here. So when we're holding a nice looking plank, you're gonna breathe, and that's gonna help your abdominals brace around your spine to kind of hold your spine in that neutral position, which is what we really want during a plank. That is where you're strong, that's where you're stable, and you're encouraging your core to do what it's meant to do, which is stabilize the spine and prevent excessive motion. okay, and also transfer energy to the rest of your body. So you're going to be exhaling, and each time you exhale, it should almost feel like a corset is getting wrapped around your midsection. So every time that corset gets wrapped around your midsection, and then when you inhale, don't lose what's going on in the middle of your body. Inhale, then wrap that corset around again. Okay, so a really, really good looking plank. Let's break it down again. Shoulders are packed, find that packed position. Head is neutral, so look between your arms. Back is neutral, you're not swayed, you're not arched, you're right locked in tight. Abs are bracing, and then we're gonna breathe in front of that brace. Exhaling that corset on. Okay, so when you have all those little parts in place, just doing 5 good full deep breaths is enough to make a plank very challenging. Okay, so you could be someone who's been planking for years, but you finally learn how to get all those little parts, all those positions of your body in the right spot. Wow, and suddenly, okay, this is a whole new world of planking, but this is how you should be doing your planks. So this right here is a perfect plank. You'll have to think about a lot about it at first, but pretty soon it will start to become second nature, and that's just the body, the position your body will fall into each time you do your plank, okay? So that right there is a perfect plank.